This production is made possible by the generous support of the following sponsors: Alaska State Council on the Arts, Fairbanks Arts Association, the Marriott Foundation, and the UAF Music Department. Thank you.
On behalf of the Fairbanks Summer Arts Festival, I'd like to welcome you to our Guest Artist Spotlight Series. My name is James Menaker. I'm the Executive Director of the Fairbanks Summer Arts Festival. My special guest today is Ryan Bowers. Ryan is a lifelong Alaskan who has found a home in folk music. He's a singer, songwriter, bass player, and folk festival organizer. His Sweet Calamity album came out in 2018, and he joins us here in a special treat for us, face-to-face interview at the University of Alaska Music Building. Welcome, Ryan.
Hello.
So today we have a few questions for you, and then I also get my first bass lesson.
Yeah.
Which would you like to do first?
Let's do the lesson first.
Excellent. Let's do it.
All right. So the first part of bass is upright bass is how you pick it up. So get behind it there. Put your hand down, cradle it, and roll it up.
Roll and pivot.
Yeah. And so then the way that we hold it once we get it up is, and you can kind of see where I've worn it. So right there and right there. So this goes in the hollow of your hip. So right here. And you can just sort of let it fall down the hollow of your hip, and it's going to be diagonal to you. You know, not quite behind it or quite to the side, but diagonal. If you get both of those parts balanced right, you can actually kind of hold it between your hip and your knee. You know, and it's not usually a perfect balance, but it's at least enough that you're like, my hand here is not needed really to hold the bass up, you know, so I can have less tension there. And I can just focus on making a note.
Uh-huh.
So the way that we make those notes, you're just letting that string just pop out from under your finger. It's almost like it. Did you ever do the thing where you take a watermelon seed and you press down on it?
Yes.
Yeah, so
I don't know what it is about musicians and watermelon seeds, but Keith Carnes was teaching me to play a trumpet, imagining spitting out watermelon seeds.
Well, it should feel kind of like pressing down on a watermelon seed until it squirts out. So you should feel that string, just kind of squirt out from under your finger. And and so that's how you pull the string. We'll go over the names of each of the four strings now. So starting from the lowest string and going to the highest string. Mm-hmm. This one is an E, the lowest one. So we'll play an E. And the next one up is an A.
Uh-huh.
And the next one up is a D. Good. And then the highest one is a G.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Just like a guitar. I can remember those.
Exactly like the four low strings on a guitar. Yeah. I know when I was first learning guitar that like at least those four low strings felt very, very comfortable to me. Mm-hmm. I knew where things were already there anyway.
And I noticed there are no frets up here.
There are no frets here. When you start out learning bass, you start out with some tape on the side, which you'll see I've put on. Uh-huh. Those mark where your first and fourth fingers go in in first position. But especially for folk music styles, that's where you hang out most of the time. Yeah, so you start out playing with the tape, and then one day you realize you haven't looked at it in hours.
Sure.
And you don't need it anymore. So if we have a D chord, we have our D string here, right?
Uh-huh.
So we play the D, and then we play the note below, which is
A.
Yeah. So we play D, A. And so for this groove, we're basically playing halftime to the rest of the band, which of course we can't hear right now.
They're in my head.
They're doing something like that. And typically there's something playing backbeat. If it's bluegrass, it'll be a mandolin. If you're playing country, it'll be the drums. Something like that. But you're just playing this halftime groove with space in between each of these half notes for someone else to put in a backbeat. And so the interplay between those two things is what creates this really classic groove, that's used in all these folk styles. So let's start out just playing a couple chords in the groove like that. So start out playing a D. Yeah, about like that. Now try going to a G. Remember, just pull through it, or just let it slip out. Now back to a D. Now down to an A. And back up to a D. Yeah, so that's like 70 to 80% of the way to the verse I want to do here. So let's see, it'll go like this. So this is the first half of it. So
Okay.
Well,
and when you put D, it's the pair. It's
yeah.
D, D, A, D, A,
Yeah.
G, D, G, D, D, A, D, A.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's do just this top part first. Maybe
Okay.
about here. 1, 2, ready, go. Now to A. Cool. So that is half the verse already.
I'm a bass player.
Yeah. The great thing about this, the choruses are the same chords as the verse. So all of Bury Me Beneath the Willow now.
Excellent.
It's just this over and over and over. So
You can't tell beneath the mask, but I'm biting my bottom lip as I'm playing, just like a real bass player.
Oh, it's some of the faces that bass players make when they really get in the groove are just awesome. Yeah, so let's try putting this whole thing together now.
Okay.
All right. 1, 2, ready. My heart is sad and I am weary, weeping for the one I love. When shall I meet her? Oh, no, never, till we meet in heaven above. In the chorus. Bury me beneath the willow, under the weeping willow tree. He will know where I am sleeping, and perhaps she'll think Nice.
Woohoo! That was awesome.
All right, yeah, how do you feel about that?
I feel great.
That is one of my favorite things about bass is the low bar to entry. You know, I mean, you can take the bass to just as stratospheric of places as any other instrument, but the amount that you need to learn in order to play with other people is shockingly low, and it's wonderful.
So the first question has to be, why the bass? I mean, that thing is monstrous.
It just clicked with me. The first time I ever tried it, I think I was 16, and I went to this like summer bluegrass music camp down in Seward. I mean, I had tried other instruments before, and I played bodhrán already, the Irish drum. Of course, James Yoshizawa plays incredibly better than I do. That was my background before playing bass. But as soon as I tried playing bass, it felt more natural than, you know, and anything other than singing had up to that point. With only a few notes and a few chords, I could play so many songs. So as I was just starting to play the bass, I had people to play with, which was really exciting, and I had a repertoire already that I knew on percussion, and I knew the arrangements of, and everything. And so, you know, I know that's not the most common thing, but that really drove me along as I was first starting. And the white lines turn to gray, and the white lines turn to gray.
So in addition to playing multiple instruments, you also have written dozens and dozens of original songs. What is your process like when you're writing a song? Do you start off with the lyrics, or do you get a tune stuck in your head, or even just a few notes together and start stringing them? How do you write your songs?
I've had songs start from many different directions. As you alluded to, it usually starts with something that gets stuck in my head. You know, be it a little snatch of melody, an interesting rhythm, you know, or sometimes just a concept, you know, that just gnaws away at the back of my mind. And I've had songs like that also, where I've like had the concept and kind of like thought about it and wrestled with it until I felt like I had arrived at something worth saying about it. In the case of something that's concept first like that, you know, then I would start writing the music. But probably the majority of things that I've written have just been a lyrical phrase or a bit of melody that just gets stuck in my head. Because, you know, I figure if it's good enough to get stuck in my head, it's good enough to get stuck in everybody else's head too.
Yeah. So you've been performing for over half your life. When did you know you wanted to be a professional musician? And when did you think that you actually could be a professional musician?
Early to mid-20s, I think I started like really more seriously thinking about doing music full time. I don't know, it's still something I'm kind of figuring out every day how to do. Like, for instance, to be doing music professionally, you know, now it, you know, entails like usually a level of you know, social media acumen that is a very different skill than anything you learn at music school.
It's hard to come down. It's hard to come down.
What is the best festival or concert that you've ever attended that you weren't playing in? What's your most fun experience of going to live music?
I got to see Nickel Creek when they reunited about 6 years ago. I got to see them at this big club in Boston, and that was amazing. Like after the show, we just kind of walked out speechless, and I was like, should we just go get a drink and talk? It's like I didn't want to go do anything else after that, because it felt right, and it almost felt like when you have a really good meal, and you reach the perfect point where you fall, and if you're smart enough, sometimes you leave it there. And I felt like I was perfectly full, and I wanted to leave the night like where it was. It was a wonderful show. A really good one, actually, that I saw up here was Pink Martini, just a couple of years ago.
Right.
But
yeah.
they really know how to entertain.
So the music that you're most involved in has a broad strokes title of folk music, which encompasses a lot of different styles and flavors. How would you describe what defines folk music?
I guess there are two very different formulations that I've heard for this. One is very broad, and then one is more narrow but kind of harder to pin down. You could even say that anytime you have a progression of pedagogy through the ages, where you can trace a line from you to your teacher, to their teacher, to their teacher, into who knows how far back, you have, anywhere that you have that, you have a tradition of some sort. And, you could make an argument that anywhere you have a tradition, you have traditional music. And so you could say that all music is traditional if you wanted to.
So I wrote myself some notes. You have played in a lot of different bands, including Slightly Askew, Ice Jam, Rock Bottom Stompers, The Last Dog String Band, and currently Ryan Bowers and the Brain Trust, just to name a few. What is the best band name that you've never used?
Oh, there's a few really good band names that either myself or bandmates have come up with over the years. Sometimes that we've been unable to use because we found out they were already taken. The band that ended up being Eel House, we started out calling ourselves The Caper, which is a great name, but but we found out there's already a band by that name. Actually, I have a band name that that I've been thinking of recently that I have yet to use for anything, which is Quantum Goose. Because I was reading some article about this goose research, research.
As one does, yeah.
Research about geese, not by geese. And the researchers were finding that apparently there's some quantum component to the geese, their way that they navigate. And I just, as soon as I read that, I was like, oh, that sounds like a band name.
Right. One of my family's favorite games during dinner is we're talking and then we're like, that's a band name.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Pickled frog legs. That's a great band name.
Do you ever think about do you ever name what genre it should be?
We have not gotten there yet.
That's kind of fun, because you could be like, oh, that's going to be my punk band,
So what genre would Quantum Goose be for you?
It sounds like a prog rock band, doesn't it? I mean, I don't know. But I feel like maybe it should be a country band. I don't know.
The Gregorian chant band, Quantum Goose.
Ooh, yeah. I like that.
Okay, so you've lived in large metropolitan areas like Boston and then small Alaska towns, and you've toured everywhere in between. What's the most creative that you've had to be in transporting the bass to some gig or practice, or what's the most creative that you've had to be in transporting that thing?
When I was living in Boston, I got really good at maneuvering this thing through turnstiles. I mean, so honestly, I feel like just like taking this on subways was kind of an adventure every day.
That seems like a great place to wrap up for the evening. So thank you all for joining us. That is all the time that we have. I want to say thank you to Ryan Bowers for stopping by and joining us. Ryan, where can people find out more about you online and what you're doing with your music?
I'm on Facebook at Ryan Bowers and the Brain Trust, and I have the website up at ryanbowersandthebraintrust.com. Anytime I have stuff updated on there, you can come and see what I'm up to.
Super. And if you want to find out more about the Fairbanks Summer Arts Festival, you can find us online at www.fsaf.org. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.
You can change this world for a better